This is me, and this is my senior chapel. Thank you. I want to talk to you guys today about adaptation. Adaptation is a hallmark in biology, one of the courses I teach. How one organism adapts to its surroundings can make a difference on whether that organism survives or doesn't. And in fact, there's a little toad that lives in Costa Rica called the golden toad. Has anybody heard about the golden toad? Yeah. The golden toad was a beautiful little toad that lived in the jungles of Costa Rica. It lived up in these cloud forests, and it had the most beautiful view that you can imagine. It lived in the jungle, looked down on the coast in Costa Rica, out across the Caribbean Ocean or Caribbean Sea, and unfortunately for the golden toad, somehow a fungus got to Costa Rica, and this fungus was able to attach to the wet skin of the golden toad, which was its adaptation to live where it was. You see, in the cloud forests, the golden toad got all it needed through its skin. It could get oxygen through its skin. It could get moisture through its skin because it lived in the clouds. Unfortunately, when you have moist skin, that makes you very susceptible to fungus infection. Well, in 1989, the last golden toad was seen, and no one has seen a golden toad since then. And they've been recently listed as extinct. So unfortunately for the golden toad, their adaptation ended up being a downfall. What I want to talk to you about today, since we're humans, we have the ability to make adaptations to things that happen to us in life that maybe can make us better. So I want to talk to you about a couple things that happened to me that I really had no control over. It wasn't my choice. Things just happened, and as a result, I am where I am today. The first one is when I was a junior in high school. I thought I wanted to go to Ohio Wesleyan University for some reason. I don't really know why, except I lived in Ohio. It's a couple hours away, seemed like a good distance. Small school, sort of like this. It's bigger than this, but for a college it's still small. And you had a real personal feel there. They had a swim team which appealed to me. So what I did was I called the swim coach and said, I'd like to come swim for you, left a message on his phone, sent him emails, and for some reason, even though as soon as I stepped foot on campus there, I could have broken 3 of their records, he never called me back. He never responded to my emails. I went on a visit to Ohio Wesleyan during the summer, between my junior and senior years, and the coach wasn't on campus. And everything that I tried to do to go to the school that I thought I really wanted to go to seemed to not be adding up towards success there. It wasn't really anything I was doing. I could have gotten into Ohio Wesleyan. It just ended up that maybe that wasn't the place for me. So what happened was I started going to college fairs. My dad says, well, if that's not going to work out, if he's never going to call you, you better go find somewhere else to go. And I was walking around a college fair, and there happened to be a little table set up in Sylvania, Ohio, that said Butler University. And I had never even heard of Butler University. They weren't famous like they are now for the basketball team. And they had a little tiny postcard, and it said interest beyond academics. And I wrote swim team and listed some of my times. A week later, the coach there called me. A month later, I was on campus on an official visit. And to say that that experience didn't work out for me would be a total lie. Butler's a great school. I got a great education there. I might have gotten a great education at Ohio Wesleyan, but I have really, really good memories of my time at Butler. And I grew as a person there, and I don't know that I would have been the same situation as had I gone to Ohio Wesleyan. Secondly, something worse than that happened to me my senior year in college. I was sort of getting ready towards making that transition into real life. You guys will get there soon. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was a second off of an Olympic trials cut in 2 different events. And I knew that if I had a good senior season, I would qualify for those events. So I was kind of focused on that. I knew that the academics would take care of themselves. I would graduate, I'd have a degree, I'd be able to teach, things like that. But I really wanted to focus on swimming, and things were going really well. I had great training sessions, I was working hard, and I was swimming faster than I ever had. But the way swimming works is you always swim slower until you get to your last meets because you train so hard. In January, I was on my way to the pool for practice at 3:15. I always took morning classes in college because we got up at 4:30, and it made sense to take 8 o'clock classes. So then I came back to the pool at 3:15 for my afternoon practice. I stopped at a red light, and it was a rainy afternoon, and I remember hearing a screeching behind me. And what happened then, I don't really remember, but a car hit the car behind me going 55 miles an hour and forced my car out into the intersection. I do remember looking to my left out the driver's side window and seeing a black Mercury. It's one of those images that like burns in your mind, coming straight at my door. Luckily that car had at least adequate tires on it, and he was able to swerve out of the way and miss me. Otherwise I might be telling a different story or no story at all today. But what happened was, some guy decided at 3:15 on a Friday afternoon, or no, I'm sorry, it was a Thursday afternoon, that he would go drunk driving in the rain. And he hit the car behind me, which hit me. The guy behind me missed like 7 months of work. He was a bus driver. He couldn't even sit up straight to drive a bus. I had minor whiplash, so I definitely got the lesser of the two injuries there. I actually had to go to court and testify and stuff. That's a whole different story. But what it caused me to do was miss 3 weeks of training. And January is the most important training phase for a swimmer because your end of season meets are in March. I wouldn't admit it then, but my swimming career ended that day. It's still kind of hard to talk about. But it also propelled me into sort of a new career. I still loved swimming, I just couldn't do it anymore. When I tried to go back to swimming after my injury, I still swam okay at the end of the year, but I didn't drop any time from my previous time, so I never qualified for any of the meets I wanted to. But it sort of gave me a new passion for swimming. It made me appreciate it. It made me want to pass it on to those who were younger than me. And it made me, in my job search when I came out of college, look for a job where I could also coach swimming. And it's kind of hard to line up everything you want in your initial job search. So I ended up moving 600 miles away to Virginia, even though I was engaged, even though I had everything I really wanted up in Ohio, I had to move. And if I hadn't changed what I wanted to do, I probably wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have worked at a boarding school. I wouldn't have had the experiences down in Virginia that taught me how to be a decent teacher. Like, I forget who it was, Mr. Smith said the first year of teaching was an absolute disaster also. It takes a while to figure out how to communicate with kids. So, I don't want you guys to think of what happened to me. I want you guys to look forward to things that don't go quite right for you. I'm not talking about failure like Mr. Smith. I'm talking about actual situations that you have no control over. None. I didn't ask this guy to run into me. I didn't ask that college coach not to call me. It just happened. And I had to change my thought about what I wanted to do. And I'm really, really happy that those things happened to me because they allowed me to be here today. They allowed me to live the life that I'm living. And while you guys may not see this is what you want to do with your life, I think that the things that happen to you will lead you to what you want. Someday you'll be happy with what you're doing because you make decisions based on what happens to you. I have a line here at the end of what I wrote. I thought it was good. It's probably not. Anyways, I hope that you can find situations that give you perspective. I hope that you find situations that force you to change your thoughts on what you think you're going to be. And I hope you can find purpose in that. Thank you.